Do others ever stress you out? Do you ever get anxious when like you've got to have a conversation, or maybe you've had those relationships where you're like, relationships would be great if it weren't for the people, right? We all at some point struggle, get stressed about dealing with other people. And is there a way forward in that? How do we figure out how to kind of cut through, gain perspective? Because it's always going to happen, right? We all are different people, and sometimes we stress each other out, whether we mean to or not. And so how do we get perspective? So for today, I've got Proverbs 16, verse 7. And this is a kind of one of those pieces of wisdom that on the surface, it's like, wait a minute, is that even possible? But is asking us to dig a little deeper. It says, when people draw favor from the Lord, even their enemies are at peace with them. So think about that for a second. Even their enemies are at peace with them. Now that seems really impossible. So what in the world is happening here? Well, it's contingent upon this first part of when people draw favor from the Lord. And so what is favor? Well, favor is connected to God's grace, that God's grace is constantly with us. But here we need a little bit of a definition check from Merriam-Webster Dictionary. Favor means plus other things, but I thought these were interesting. Friendly regard, approving consideration, partiality, gracious kindness, in sympathy with, preference for, to treat gently or carefully, to give support or confirmation to afford advantages for success. So think about what that means of favor in connection to God, right? Takes care of us, gently deals with us, right? This moment of to afford advantages, like to give us abilities to have success, gracious kindness in sympathy with, to give support. But think especially about to treat carefully and gently. To treat carefully or gently. So it's kind of like one of those moments when we recognize God's favor that all of us have, that God is going to treat us gently and kindly. There's going to be gracious kindness. There's going to be a giving of space, like, okay, I'm going to afford, like there needs to be some space given to the situation of going, all right, how does that change ourselves about the way God deals with us? But it also changes what's important for us and important for us to focus on whenever we're dealing with other people, when we're dealing in other relationships, whether we know someone well or not, of how do we carry that favor forward into our relationships so that we begin to be more at peace. Instead of there's tension, we don't like what somebody else is doing, and so we react to it, of being able to take that step back and go, okay, hold up. If God's going to deal gently with me, how do I deal gently with? And of going, all right, if that person has said something cruel or awful, of going, wait, let me deal gently in this, in the sense of, what does that say about them? And how can I not get hooked? How do I not get into their mess? But instead, take a step back and go, that's interesting. So it's a moment of allowing that favor to change our perspective, to change the way that we interact, to have a perspective even when someone's saying or doing something that isn't right, it isn't kind, it's not healthy, but of being able to take that step back and not get caught in whatever it is they are experiencing or drawing us into conflict. But instead, us being able to go, I can let that go. I don't need to be bothered by. So a real moment for us to go, all right, if that's the piece of wisdom to take, that we become at peace even with our enemies, even with those that we don't like, because what they say and do, we allow it to impact us on a lower level. We go, wait a minute, how should it impact us instead of how it is impacting? of going, I can step away, I can step back, and that says more about them than it says about me. And so to allow God's favor to change and shift us in ways that are helpful for us to find peace with all kinds of people, with people we like and people we absolutely do not like. Pray with me. Compassionate God, may we know your favor today in every way we need it. May your gracious kindness envelop us so we can respond to others with less stress, with a perspective of what is really important. May the realization of your love be the advantage we need to experience your peace in our relationships. May our approach to relationships be based upon God's support and generosity in our own lives. Amen. Have a good one.